Alright guys, time for another oil change. So we're going to kind of walk through the oil change deal today. There's the bike though. Coming up on, well, 60,000 miles on this thing. I've actually got 60,000. I might have more than 60,000. Let's see how many miles we got. Of course, still sporting the GPS. Love that GPS. Let's see where we're at. Yep, we're a little under 60. We're at 57,568. And let me tell you something. The Voyager, I haven't done anything really to it. This thing has been to the shop for one thing, and that was to get the neck bearings done. Other than that, let me knock on something. Other than that, it hadn't been to the shop, which I have done some things to it, but kind of simple things. Let's go through it real quick, and then we're going to do this oil change. We did the clutch at about 25,000 miles. And the reason I probably had to do that clutch was I went down there with Robert Simmons, and I guess I pushed the bike pretty hard for a long period of time. Things probably heated up pretty good on the bike. Thank God it got me home from Savannah, Georgia. Good 2.5 hour trip down there to the Georgia line, but that's probably why I had to replace that that clutch. Not a hard job. Let's run through it real quick, what you would have to do if you ever had to replace your clutch. Basically, the one thing you're going to need possibly is a new gasket. So this part right here, this cover, not sure what you would call this. You'd have to look it up on Microfiche. But I'd go ahead and I'd buy that gasket. So when you pull this off, in case it gets torn, you got a new one to put up. Basically, you're just going to pull this off. Probably going to have to loosen your floorboard just enough to get it out of the way so you can pull this up and out. But once you do that, your clutch discs are right back here. It's really not a hard job. The main thing, if you're changing a clutch, just make sure you pay attention to how it all goes back together. That's it. You may need an impact wrench. I wouldn't buy anything else as far as any clutch removal type stuff. For the plates, I wouldn't buy that part that they try to sell you. I'd just get an impact wrench and I'd go at it like that. But a good impact wrench, because this nut that you're going to have to pull off, I know is probably 80 foot-pounds probably of torque, maybe a little bit more, so it's pretty tight on there. And if you just try to do it by hand with just a socket, you're going to turn the whole thing. So you need that impact so you can just strictly pull the nut. But that's it. You know, it's a simple process. It's really simple to do clutch. Other than that, it's pretty much been just regular maintenance. I can't think of anything else I've really done. I've changed fuel filter, which wasn't really necessary. Changed the plugs, you know, a couple weeks ago. I did that at the 55,000 probably miles. That's about it. So let's get down to this, and well, I changed the radiator too, the coolant, probably twice. I'd recommend, if you hadn't changed your coolant, go ahead and change it, because when I changed it, I had a little bit of plastic particles coming out with mine, so probably not a bad idea to change that a little bit. Okay, let's get to it. Let's look and see what we got going on. All right. Oil drain paint. This is a good one here. And the reason it's a good one, that's flat, right? You can kind of tell that's flat. Flip it over, it concaves. It actually goes to the center. So the good news is when you put this under the bike, it's going to fit without a jack stand, without any extra help. And even if the oil hits way up here, it's draining to the center. So whatever American came up with that concept, good job. And good job to the Chinese for letting that American come over to China and produce this so that China could copy you and sell me that for, I don't know, about 30 bucks. I appreciate that, American that wanted to save money and let China copy your idea. That's the way America works. All right, so now, high-flow. K&N filters. KN303 would be the one you were looking for. I've read that high-flow actually made K&N filters for a very long time. I believe high-flow may be made in the United States still. K&N filters are made in China now. So this is actually the company that possibly, from my reading and research, actually made for K&N. So the reason I get the RC version is because it's got the nut on the end. If you just get an HF303, you're not getting the easy removable nut. I love that nut because it makes it so easy to pull these things off. So high flow, Filtro, roughly $9–10 bucks. But like I said, made for K&N at one point by research, so good. Of course, we got to put the AMSOIL in. I'm doing the V-twin 2050. Of course, the manual calls for the 1040, but I'm in South Carolina. It gets kind of hot in the summertime. Coming up on winter, but we won't get below probably 30 degrees, you know, just with a regular temperature. So wind chill, of course, will drop down, you know, maybe in the 22. But 2050 should work pretty well. So I've got the gallon size. Doesn't save you a lot to get the gallon size, but the good thing with the gallon is you've got this container that you could put your oil back into if you wanted to. And then I've got another quart of V-twin. Occasionally I'll mix them. I'll do a 2050 and a 1040. Not today. I just bought straight V-twin. Anybody that hadn't tried AMSOIL, I recommend do some research on it. A lot of people will say it's snake oil. The people that haven't used it say it's snake oil. The people that have actually used AMSOIL, they'll tell you some of the benefits, and I'll go through it while I'm changing the oil. How about that? Got some washers, and I've got thread sealant. Now the reason I have thread sealant, you're not going to need thread sealant. I had to redo my drain plug. The threads gave me some trouble. I had to rebore it and had to do something different with it, and I like to be safe with it anymore, so I use a little bit of sealant just to make sure it's not going to leak. And then of course we got a filter so we can do it all up. This isn't going to take long, I promise you. I'm going to walk you through it, and if you want the AMSOIL, www.MEtricoil.com, MEtricoil.com. I would definitely appreciate it if you would, if you're thinking about AMSOIL, if you would order it through me. I get a little compensation, and it helps pay for the website for sure. But MEtricoil.com, and let's get started. I'm going to pause this. We're going to start this whole process. I've been letting the bike warm up. It should have a temperature gauge. I hear the fan coming on, so we should be a little over the halfway point. And this bike has been ivanized, so that's kind of where I stay for the most part. Maybe a little bit higher than that, but you could hear the fan coming on. So I'm going to pause this, we're going to get set, and we're going to start the process. Now first things first, guys. Just like I said, with the nice American, probably developed, Chinese made drain plan. As you can see, I'm going to make it, you know, all the way to the other side of the bar. So that's great. And my bike is lowered, so if I can do it, I know that you're going to be able to do it with absolutely no trouble. But what you're looking for down here, we pulled both of the drain plugs. One's a vent and one's the actual drain. We'll keep those right over here. What you're actually looking for is two drain plugs. And one of them is going to be right here. And one will be about an inch or two away. Probably somewhere right along in, where's it? Right here. Right here where my finger is. So one there and one right along in there. There are two drain plugs, always remember that. Simple stuff we're about to do. Don't let a shop charge you $50 or $60 to do this. Not worth it. Alright, so I'm going to get the 14 millimeter, and we're going to start pulling these plugs and draining it out. Alright guys, we're about to get started. We are going to run through this. Don't pay attention to my sticker. Met wrench. I should say MEtricoil. Met wrench. Anybody that doesn't know about this tool set, I urge you to look into it, because this tool set will do almost anything you need it to do. It is a standard and a metric all-in-one. This is from the 1990s, 80s, 90s. They're still making it. It is available at MEtricoil.com. I believe is actually the website. It is engineered in Germany. It was developed in Germany, and once you learn how to use it, and I know that sounds weird, but once you learn how to use it, you'll find out that you're not missing a single tool, except for maybe extensions and different things like that. All right, so let's get started. We're going to grab the 14, I'm pretty sure, and we're going to town here. All right, guys, I gotta let you know it's a 17, not a 14. The 14 is actually to remove the oil filter. So 17. All right, so let's get this thing rolling real quick. I always like to start with the back one. It's tough to do a camera and do this, so I'm gonna give it all I got. And this is the one I had to redo. This has got a, can't remember the name of the kit that I used. Left hand. I probably should have used a different hand. You know something else? I'm going to pause this a second before we go any further, because I got a glove. I'm not going to get oily today. Good news. I'm oiled up now, baby. I'm gloved up. Not oiled up. I'm gloved up. Oiled up. So, alright, so left hand. I am not left-handed, so this isn't good. Let's switch. Let's do camera left hand. Right in. Let me make sure I don't accidentally kick this in the right. Okay, we're still loosening. Still loosening, that's good. Back to the back side. Alright, there we go. Not the best at this camera thing, huh? Oh my gosh. Get up there. Get up there, little buddy. Get back on there. Man, it's still in there. I might be about to put this camera down in a second. Let's try hands again. Okay, camera down a second. Sorry about the blackness, but two hands make this a lot faster. I'm still here, don't worry. Alright, here we go, here we go, here we go. Camera out the way. Alright guys, got to put these two videos together. My finger hit the wrong button somewhere, so I don't know how much you missed, but there's your oil pan doing its draining. My ground is actually not very level, so it's actually wanting to go more forward than it should, but let's get this out the way a little bit. But that's only one drain, so once it slows down a good bit, I'm going to go after the other one. And I'm losing a little bit of oil though. Might fix that here in a second. Alright, so you see where we're at. I'm going to pause you. Alright guys, I'm about to pull that pan a little bit so I can get to that other bolt. That one's pretty much done. So I'm going to start it. I'm going to pause it while I do it. And we're just going to pull that bolt. Alright, so there was the second one rolling. I got good news, guys. That's about it. Except for changing the filter. And if you're doing a filter like I'm doing a filter, it's going to be easy as pie. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and start loosening this oil filter. So this is actually a 14mm and a 9/16. Both in one. Now, how do they do that, you say? Well, back in the 90s, they decided that, hey, we're not grabbing the points of a bolt. We're going to grab the walls of a bolt. So that was the technology there. I'm thinking maybe Cobalt, some Craftsman, somebody might have copied them a little bit, but they definitely don't have it set up quite like MEtWrench. I'm sure MEtWrench has got a lot of patents that protect them from being copied. But the set, I'm thinking it's like 200 bucks. And you might think that's kind of high. It kind of is, but for what you get, it's very well worth it. It's so convenient just to carry it around. It's just worth it. If you've got a rounded off bolt, say for a second that's rounded off, right? It's gonna grab it still. It's just amazing. It's so simple, but yet so ingenious. All right, so we're about to take this filter off. All right, guys, guess what? I need to change my oil more often because I thought that was a 14. It's actually a 17 as well. So 17 is the magic number for everything. So we'll just come in here. We're gonna grab onto this nut right here, give it a good turn. See if I can turn a little bit better. Once you get it kind of loose, you can get it by hand. Looking at the camera, not the job, huh? Alright, that should be it. So now we're just spinning. There it is. It's letting some out. So I'm just going to let that leak some. And just keep on spinning. Hopefully y'all can see just how easy this is. Out he goes, y'all. I'm thinking this oil had a good bit of mileage on it, because I don't really remember when I changed this one. Not sure if I put it on the filter. Typically I'll engrave it on the filter, what date and mileage on the new one. So we're going to let everything just kind of drain to the best of its ability. So I'm going to pause this a second. We'll start putting it back together. Alright, so my last filter, I guess I was in a hurry. I didn't find anything on it. The new one, I've already doctored it up here. So we got 1023. Today is October the 1st. And I think we said it had 56,000 something miles. I'm just going to call it 56K. And that is your high flow 303 CRC with your 17 millimeter. 17, not 14. Don't know why I was wanting to do everything with a 14. Everything is a 17. And it's got plastic on it. Big thing is just put a little bit of oil around that seal right there. Make sure it's good and lubricated. You don't want a dry seal that's going to, you know, just deteriorate fast. But we're still kind of letting everything just drain. I think we're pretty much at the end of it. I'm about to put it together and we'll catch back up. But man, we're like 3-4 minutes in, right? I mean, real simple stuff. Alright guys, plenty of time to drain there, so we're going to kick all this out of the way. Get rid of all of y'all. So now we're going to put the drain in. And let's have this one first. I'm going to pause this one second. Alright guys, one thing we didn't talk about, the crush washer that actually comes off of these bolts right here. You could probably reuse this. A lot of times I do. Sometimes I just flip them over, or sometimes I just put them on the exact same way they came off. But dealer's probably going to want like, I don't know, $2-3 for that thing. Just find you some crush washers. Whole assortment or something. You could probably buy them for $5 or so. Just get a whole set, and that way you don't get stuck with those crazy charges. But this is one of those, that's probably a Temu type item right there. For those of you who don't know, Temu, Chinese company, it's a shopping app, basically Amazon. but straight from China. So we'll just get this. I think this one should fit okay, and we'll just drop it on our bolts. So now we got a new crush washer, and we'll put that in, and we'll go from there. So we've hand tightened both the bolts in. Now I'm going to torque them down. Not sure what the spec is. I'm thinking around 17, but don't quote me on that, because I've already damaged one, because I'm not going to get the torque wrench. I'm just going by feel. I get them pretty tight. So going to tighten them down, then we're moving on to the oil filter, okay? Alright guys, one more video to put together because I accidentally hit the stop button. So it's all tightened up down there. Just remember 2 bolts. We're going to move on to this oil filter now. So we got to remove the plastic from the oil filter, and try not to touch my phone too much. Alright, we got it. So we got that off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this new oil and just kind of coat this rubber seal. 2 hands. Alright, so guys, just rubbed a little bit of oil just around that seal. Now, something that I do that probably a lot of people don't do. I don't know if it really helps or if it doesn't. If it does help, it's very minute. But I'll pour a little bit of oil into this filter so it's not dry at startup. So it's already a little bit primed. So I'll probably put just a quick pour. Let's see how much I'm going to dump in here. Hey, it's going to stand up. That's really good. So let's just take a little bit of our V-twin oil here. Oh, come on. Don't do that to me. Come on. This is video production, people. Alright, so let's just dump a little. Just a little. Not much. Just a little. So at least the paper's taking in some oil now, and you're not going to lose it when you put it back up there. Don't fill it up because you're going to lose a lot of oil. But just a small amount surely will not hurt. So we got a little bit, and I've already put my marks on it. I think we went through that. So now we just come across here at the front. My horn kind of gets in the way. Most people won't have that problem with a horn. So we're right in here. That's where we're going. Get our threads lined up. Move your mouth just the right way. And you start to spin. And if it's not really smooth like this, just really easy to turn, then you have got it crossed. So go no further. Should be super easy to put on. So we'll get it kind of hand tightened. For me, I always get pretty tight with my filters. As long as you're making a good seal, it's not going to leak. So I'm going to tighten that up, and then all we're going to do next is put some oil in it, and we will be done. So 15 minutes of your day. One more piece of video to put together. Phone calls. Alright, so that's done. He's pretty tight. And most people say just good and hand tight, and then another half a turn with a wrench, oil filter wrench, whatever. But I definitely recommend y'all get the one with the nut, because it makes it so much easier. Alright, here's what we're going to do. Everything's together. We're going to go to the other side, and tools are back together. Love that tool set. Go to the other side, and we're going to start filling him up. Alright guys, of course the dipstick's been out pretty much the whole time. If you didn't pull the dipstick, it's not a big deal. It's still going to drain. But always make sure you clean it real good. You don't want to mix clean oil and dirty oil, even though it's just a tiny bit. So let's get our funnel. Make sure it's clean. We don't want any dirt in it. So now let's get our jugs together. Real quick pause so I can shake. I like to shake oil. I don't know if it's necessary, but I do like to shake oil. Alright, so I shook it a little bit. I just kind of think that what's in the bottom, sometimes it maybe sticks there. That's the reason I shake oil. But AMS oil,
what they actually say as far as some of the benefits: outstanding wet clutch performance, exceptional wear protection, promotes cooler operation, protects against rust and corrosion during storage. Yeah, okay, that's great. I'm going to tell you why I like AMSOIL. If you use a regular oil, typically by the time you get to 1,000, 2,000 miles, something like that, this clutch, it's going to start to feel totally different. If you ever notice, when you first do an oil change, your clutch is just so, man, it just feels so good when you release it. Everything's just nice and smooth. You know, the engine, man, it's all connected. It's good. By the time you get to 2,000 miles, the oil started to break down, and it's just not lubricating as well as it did. Here's what I found with AMSOIL. That clutch, I don't care if I've got 7,000 miles on the oil, if I've got 10,000 miles on this oil, because I've done 10, I've done 12, whatever the mileage, that clutch still feels just wonderful. And that's really why I stick with AMSOIL, because I know it's doing something. I know it's doing what they say it's doing, because that clutch feels that way. And the good thing with AMSOIL is they'll back you up. You can double your manufacturer's recommended oil changes. So for us on these Voyagers, we're probably at 5,000, I'm thinking, is what they recommend. So you're looking at a 10,000 mile oil change. So as long as you check your oil, this bike actually does use a tiny bit. I'm not sure if I'm leaking down there at the drain a tiny bit, or if it's just actually burning a tiny bit, but I'll probably use a half a quart every 3,000-4,000 miles, somewhere along in there. So if you're going to do those prolonged oil changes, make sure you check the oil. All right, so we're going to start. A lot of people say it's 4.5 quarts of oil fills it up. I've never had that kind of luck. It's always been 5 quarts for me, maybe even a little bit more than 5. So I'm going to pause it. We're going to start it, and we're going to start the oil, and we're going to finish this up in a moment. All right, guys. So we've done 1 gallon. Here's a goner. So we're going to hit that 5th quart right now, and I'm not even going to measure. I'm doing the whole 5. For you, you do 4.5. See where you're at. But I'm doing the whole 5, so that's what we're doing. So this will be the next quart here. Now remember, if you were to check it after you put this 5th quart in, you're definitely going to be probably high on that dipstick, because you haven't cranked the bike yet. Oh, shoot. Oh, man. Don't look at this. Okay, we had a snafu, y'all. Bike's on the kickstand. It's at an angle. I stopped for a second because it was starting to overflow, actually. So I'm going to crank the bike. We're going to go ahead and check the level to the best that we can, and then we're going to finish this off. So disappointing while I'm making a video that such an error has occurred. All right, so let's do that. Let's fill it up. All right, so when you start the bike, I think I've got all my lights showing right. So we're in neutral. Of course, the oil light is going to stay on for a moment, but it did go off, okay? So it will stay on a second. I'm going to let this run just a minute, get as much of that oil through, make sure that filter fills. Good 10-20 seconds is probably ample. 20 seconds per run. Alright, so now let's go finish this off, huh? Now, of course, if you were on a jack stand doing this part here where it ran over, it wouldn't happen because it'd be level. I've got a pretty significant angle here. It's going to throw off checking the oil in the whole enchilada, but if you get a 2x4 or something you stick up under there, you'll get a much more accurate reading. But this is going to be a little off, but it actually is. And I hate checking clean oil because it's so clean, it's tough to actually tell exactly where it stops. So I'm going to have to look at this without. Looks like it's pretty much full actually, but that's on the angle, so we're going to go a little bit more. Let's look inside here. A lot of times you can actually see it before it goes back to the sump pumps, or the sumps, not the sump pumps. Can't tell if we've seen anything down there or not. I don't think so. All right, so we're going to finish this 5th quart, and I'm just going to call it a day after that. I'll check it at some point. And there's really nothing left in here, so we already put pretty much the whole 5 in. This is going to be all that was left before it started running over. So that's about it, guys. And again, MEtricoil.com. If you're ready to take the plunge and just give the AMSOIL one try, I'll tell you, if you give it a shot, I think you'll really like it. And your temperature, it might go down just a tad. It's definitely not going to go up. Your clutch feel is going to be much improved for the long run, and the amount of protection that you're going to get compared to other oils, it's an improvement. I've never had lab work done. Let's be clear. I've never sent oil to Blackstone or anybody and actually compared anything. There are a lot of YouTubers that have done such a thing. A lot. So if you want to just look for that kind of thing, you know, Blackstone, isn't it Blackstone? I believe it's Blackstone. Blackstone Lab Oil Analysis AMSOIL, something like that. They'll give you a breakdown, you know, after they ran AMSOIL for so many miles. And some of the others might actually give you a breakdown of, oh, well, I ran Haviland before I ran the AMSOIL, and this is what it looked like after 10,000 miles. So, you know, just something to think about. We're going to do one more thing to the bike. I'm going to pause this, but we are hereby done with the oil change. Pretty simple process. 2 bolts, an oil filter, 17mm wrench, and a high flow filter, or a K&N. If you're stuck at K&N mindset, get a K&N. But that nut, it makes it worth it. So I'm going to pause it. Got one more AMSOIL product we're going to use, and we'll be done. Alright guys, so what I'm about to use now, we're going to use a little bit of quick shot. We'll probably use about half of this bottle in the fuel tank, gas treatment. So we'll do that. The other thing that AMSOIL has that you may want to look into, if I can put this somewhere so it's not going to slip off, this. This is Power Foam. Any of you that have heard of Seafoam, this is kind of a product that it's a little bit better because it's a foam. This is great for cleaning out your intake, your butterflies and all that stuff. It's good stuff. So when you're ordering some oil, just add this to your order. 1 can. 1 can should last you a little while. But it is it's got that tough foaming action, stubborn deposits, varnish, and gum removal kind of tool. Good for lawnmowers, good for anything really, as far as, you know, cleaning carbs and fuel injection intakes. and of course it gives you directions. But have a look at this good stuff. And I'm leaving you with that. I got one more thing. I'm going to show you what I'm about to do with my oil. Don't know what you do with your oil, probably recycle it, but here's what I do with my oil. I got a couple of trailers. They got the wooden floors. Got this, what is this, a 10-footer, and then I got a 14-footer. But what I usually do with leftover oil, just be careful with your grass. But I'll just kind of put it on the boards to try to protect them from rot, because oil and water do not mix. Oil and water do not mix. Which way is the right way? My English, not too good. But I'll just put it on the floor. That way I don't have to take it anywhere. The boards will absorb it. Just be careful if you got any cracks or anything. It is going to get on your grass, and it will kill your grass. That's what I do. So y'all, come on, AMSOIL, MEtricoil.com. Come check it out. I hope the videos kind of helped you. I know it was a little bit longer than I planned for it to be. But it's a real simple process to change your own oil. Take the extra money you would have paid in labor, spend it on the AMSOIL, extend your oil drain at least half. Go at least 7,500 miles if you don't want to do the whole 10,000. And that's all I got for y'all. I guess I'll see you on the next one. Y'all have a great day.